Okay, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, this is Evoland, and basically what we do in this game is, instead of picking up chests, where in any regular RPG you'd get, you know, an item or something that will help you, instead you're going to be getting stuff that will improve the game around you. It's like actual scrolling, or being able to move in more than one direction, or, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. Or, not least important, music. Let's get some color in the game, shall we? Because color is nice, you know. I'm not trusting these enemies. I could try to kill them, but in the process they could end up killing me, and I want to kind of play this safe, considering it's a marathon. So I'm taking it a little slow, which should be fine. So I'll kill that guy. Okay, luckily he did not move up. He probably could have killed me had he moved up, so got a lucky break there. So we're almost done with the first part of the game. These four soldiers are the last wall that we need to get through before we can actually move on. There we go. That is the first area done. And now we're going to move on to the actual RPG part of the run. We're going to get the overworld, and we're going to get turn-based battles. Now, we need to kill at least 4 enemies in total in order to get through all of these battles. I figure we can probably do just that. Ideally, it'll take us 2 fights, and ideally we just get slimes. If we get other stuff, it's fine. We can work with it. It's not that big a deal. But I do need preferably a 2 slime encounter next, or at least an encounter with 2 enemies. If we get more, we can buy an extra potion, which is not too bad. 2 slimes, that's perfect. So we're getting some good RNG here. This is also one of the one of the biggest RNG factors in the run. Like this entire segment right here. So many things that can go wrong. And with that, we're moving on to the next area. I'm gonna unlock the 4 of these real quick, and then I'm gonna take this safety save. You know, because it's a marathon. Shouldn't have a reason to die here, but you never know with this game. And with them done, we're unlocking the village, and with that, the villagers. So in a 100%, I would have tracked around all of these areas and grabbed tons of stars and cards, but we can skip pretty much all of those. And in order to set up for a glitch that we're going to do later on in the run, I actually need to skip almost all of them. Now, before we're moving on, though, we need to buy a sword and some armor. It's just some items that the game checks you have before you can actually continue the game. So let's grab those real quick. Hey, there's no shopkeeper. Oh, there he is. We just unlocked him. See? That's cool right there. Nice little shopkeeper. So yeah, now that we have all of that, let's move on. Let's go for the first major boss of the game, Kefka's Ghost. I'm just gonna breeze through this dungeon real quick. We are kinda low on health, so hopefully we won't get into any battles anymore. Oh, what's this? Is this a forced fight? Oh, it looks like somebody's in trouble. So yeah, this is a forced Skeven fight. It's always 3 Skevens, and they're really easy to beat, honestly. And once we do beat them, Kairos will join our party. With that, we're moving on to the Crystal Caves. So, since experience isn't a thing yet, we haven't actually unlocked the experience chest yet, there's no point in fighting any enemies. So we're just gonna move through the cave as quickly as we can. You know, just try to make some progress here. I could try to kill some enemies, but there is no real point in any percent to do that. So yeah, 100% I would have gone down there because there is actually one card down there. As well as there being a star in a secret hallway just a bit to the left. But you know, we don't really need to grab those. Now, before we can actually get to the boss, I need to hit some pressure plate here. And this is where I'm gonna attempt the main glitch that we'll be using for the first half of the game. Basically, I can skip a lot of cutscenes by going into the menu as I step on pressure plates and stuff. So as I stepped on there, normally I would have had to wait until the jingle ended before I could move on. But because I cancelled out of the menu as it started, I could skip that entirely, and it saves a couple seconds. There's a lot of minor tricks like this that do just that. So this is the first boss of the game. This is Kefka's Ghost. I'm gonna heal here to make the cycles line up just a bit easier, and to give me that extra bit of health, which might hopefully make this fight just a tad quicker. That's a lot of damage right there. 25. So we're gonna have to wait until he passes through this phase before we can continue. So yeah, much like any of the earlier Final Fantasy bosses, all of these bosses have one of those phases where you cannot hit them for a little while. Their ghost phase, so to speak. I'm gonna have to use a heal here, and even then Kairos might die. Actually don't want Kairos to die here. Should be fine. I can attack and then heal with Kairos and we should be good. I let her get dangerously low there. There we go. So that's Kefka's Ghost done. And with that, we unlock the 3D mode of the game. So yeah, with every single thing we do, we unlock just another way of playing these kind of games. That was a 100% chest. So yeah, I've actually lately only been practicing 100%, so expect me to make a couple mistakes of things that you would normally not do in any percent. But we should be fine. It shouldn't be too hard to get through. And as we pass this stone plate, we're actually back where we started. This is the area we started in at the... this was that first area, you know, where we struggled to get through the monsters. We could have hit the save from that, or the heal from that chest, and we saved on that tile. Ah, good times, good times. But you know, I've taken some damage. Maybe it would be nice if enemies could drop hurts like that. That's real convenient right there. Okay, we're almost done with Edenvale too. Let's go out of my way. See how we go through here. And with that, Edenvale is done. That was, for any percent, this is the last time we actually needed to visit Edenvale. In 100%, I'd have to go back there at some point, but you know, we'll just not do that. And with that, we're moving on to the Noira Mines, which is probably the hardest dungeon in the game. Mostly over how many little things you can do to save time. So that right there is an example. I moved very low over across that first wall to skip a cutscene. It saves like 7 seconds, I think. Get on the plate, please. And I'm gonna do another one of those walks here. So yeah, as it's playing, I moved quite a bit already, which is really convenient. I'm gonna break the pot for some extra health. Okay, here's a really cool glitch that I can do that works pretty much the same way, but it just looks amazing if you can pull it off. It's also kind of tricky to actually do this. Okay, I think I got it. So there's some chest that shows up here. We're gonna pick it up while in the menu, which causes this. It's just one of those silly little things you can do in this game. Gotta watch out for the mage here. This is unfortunately not a cutscene I can skip. Okay, screw that. That is actually, that walk there, you can actually do a similar thing with another key, but it's one of the hardest walks in the game. So, considering I already took quite a bit of damage as I was trying that, let's not. I may have been able to use that on this particular chest, getting a similar effect. But since it only saves like 2.5 to 3 seconds, it's not really worth it. I can't get to that heart, whatever. So I'm going to do a bit of a manipulation with the skeletons here. I'm going to move down. It looks really weird, but that forces them to move down as well, which gives me a little bit of extra time here to pull off the trick that I want to. Normally, if you do not manipulate those skeletons to move down like that, that is not very likely to actually succeed. And I would either get stuck behind a skeleton or lose a lot of time trying to pass them. So I could have started moving there through that gate, but I'm actually intending to use this menu for something way better. So this room usually has 3 skeletons. Yeah, I don't care. We're gonna skip those fights, and we're just gonna move on, because we might as well. That saves about 30 seconds, by the way. So this guy, he's kind of RNG. He can be in any position. He can be all the way up in the corner, or he can be very, very close to the hole as it spawns. Got a bit unlucky there, but we got through it, so that's fine. Now this is always a bit I need to be really careful on. If I fall through the 3rd of these holes, it will set me right back to the start of the dungeon. It's actually used to obtain a secret card, or I think it's a card, but it might be a star as well. Hold on, let me actually do this properly. But yeah, we don't really have a use for that right now, so let's not do that and let's just move on. So we're gonna get this key right over here. Just gonna damage boost through these spikes. It doesn't really matter if I take damage here, because I'm about to do a death warp that saves about 3 minutes if we successfully do it. So we're looking at a really big time save, and it doesn't really lose me anything to do that. So taking damage is not that big a deal around here. So yeah, I could continue, but I need some more damage here. That'll do. Gonna have to be a little bit careful not to get hit too much, because I do actually need a little bit of health, but 3/4 of a heart should be more than enough. So yeah, with that out of the way, we're gonna get this boss key, and that unlocks that creates the door that we can that we need in order to get to the final boss of this place. Now, normally you'd have to kill every single enemy in this room, and that'll get you into the boss room. But you can also just game over and spawn right back at the start of the dungeon. Like I said, saves about 3 minutes, depending on how well you do the room. There are a lot of bats and skeletons and stuff you need to kill, so it can be a bit less, but it usually takes you about that. So, this was actually earlier today when I was still in the assumption that I was going to run 100%. This was actually the fight I was most scared of. In 100%, you actually have to do this fight damageless. In any percent, it doesn't matter. So, not needing to do this damageless is actually it's quite a relief. Guess that's like the one good thing that came out of this. It's just too far on the wall. So yeah, this guy, he's got 3 attacks. He can either run towards me, which is the only move that I can use to actually be able to damage him. He can use fireballs, or he can spawn bats, and those bats can become a problem at some point. And usually, if the bats become too big an issue, that can cause you to take damage, which makes this fight really hard in 100%. The good thing is, the bats can also drop hearts, which will get you that life back. So, you know, it'll end up working out nicely. I also need to try to manipulate him to be rather close to the wall so that I can actually hit him once he charges towards me. That's fine. So yeah, this wouldn't have gotten me the award because I got hit at the end there, but for any percent that's fine, because, you know, we beat the boss, so we can continue. Pretty average boss fight, if I'm completely honest. Wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. And we get the legendary sword. Looks very cool, but also looks somewhat familiar. Now, here we're going to probably do the most important trick in the game. I hope I pulled it off right there. Nope. If I don't pull that off, I'm going to have to reset this. There we go. Second... No! What? I had it. I was too eager. I was about to say second try, but... So yeah, you can skip that chest if you're on exactly the right pixel, and that skips every single overworld encounter around here. So grabbing that chest is a really, really hurtful thing, because those enemies will kill you. So we need to avoid that at all costs. Luckily, you know, we're fine. We skipped through it. Took a few tries. It is, like, you have to be on exactly the right Y pixel, in order to do that. So the first time I was 1 pixel too low. The second time I actually got there, but then I moved down and I wasn't supposed to do that just yet, which still cost me to hit the wrong Y pixel just at the end of the chest. And then the third try, well, third try is the charm, I suppose. So yeah, we'll be in this town for a couple minutes. We actually need to get the bombs here, and that requires some cutscenes. So, you know, if you ever wanted to get a drink, now is a good time. So yeah, we also notice these little loading screens here. They can actually be skipped, but you need a lot of money for that, so we can't do that in any percent. We don't have that kind of money, because we're poor. No. I actually needed to talk to this guy. The nurse... I always need to think about what the order of these characters is again. Especially if I haven't played it in a while. And since it was kind of an improv run, you know. That should do. So yeah, the nurse tells us that there was this lady that had burn marks on her arms or whatever. So we're gonna see if she knows something about those bombs that we've been talking about. Because we can't really get through the next game, through the next part of the game without. Basically, what we need to do at this point is, in order to save the world, we need to fight Zephyros, who's in the Black Citadel, but we can only access the Black Citadel if we have the 2 amulet pieces. Now, one is in the ruins of Saradnak, where we'll be going after this, and one is in, I actually don't know what the forest is called anymore, but there's this forest coming up where we can find exactly that. But in order to actually access the forest, we need bombs. So we talk to her, and then the next character will give me the bombs, and it'll also give me Kairis back so that we can actually progress. So yeah, for this particular game, there's 2 categories that are mainly run. Any percent, which is actually the most run category, where the record is about 31 minutes. Which, you know, I'm not actually good enough at the game to do just that. And there is the 100% category, which requires you to get every single achievement in the game. And that takes quite a while. There are also achievements for getting for any percent with all cards and stars, although that's not an official category to mine, or at least not yet, but I have seen somebody run that at some point. So yeah, with that out of the way, we're going to move on to the next dungeon. We're just going to see if we can get that first amulet piece. Hope that's close enough. Yeah, I figured it wasn't. There we go. So yeah, in the 100% run, I'd have to kill one of these bats with a bomb as one of the requirements for pretty much how you... In 100%, you have to kill some enemies in weird ways. One of those is killing a bat with a bomb, and, you know, I'd have to be able to do that, but now that we're not doing that, we can skip that. It's actually kind of easy, because you can just go in the menu and they stop moving, but it does require some precise timing. So we're gonna come up on this next area, and we're gonna get a chest here real quick. Now, the main thing is that I need to take as little damage as possible, because the more damage I take, the harder it's going to get for me. And these bats can actually push me in, which will set me right back to the start. So actually you have to be somewhat careful in the movement here. I do not... Yeah, that's what I mean. Thank you, bat. About to say, I do not trust that bat. Well, then he decided to push me in. That's unfortunate. Okay, got that one at least. From this point on, it doesn't matter. Now that we have the bow, we're purposely just going to fall in to warp back to the start. Might as well, right? Now that we have the bow, we don't actually have to walk back to the crystal. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to light up some minor trees. And what that does is that when we travel back to this period, basically we're just time traveling. And when we travel back to this period, that'll allow us to actually progress. Now this little tree, you could try to get rid of it, or you just do this. This actually locks me out of going back to the first part of the dungeon, but since we don't need to visit that anymore anyway, it doesn't really matter. Okay, now comes what is probably one of the more tricky parts of the run. It is very easy to forget one bush or something, and as a result not be able to continue and have to travel back, or have to travel through time twice. So I'm first gonna have to remove all three of those, and then that one. Particularly that last one is very often forgotten, and it loses like 30 seconds if you do. So it's quite the time sink if you end up forgetting that minor little bush. That one over there, that one over there. So normally we'd have to do a whole lot of backtracking and tracking around to light up both of the torches over there. But there is actually another pixel perfect trick that I can do that saves me from doing that. It saves over a minute. Because it saves a lot of tracking around. Got it first try there. The hard drops here are actually kind of nice. So I'm going to push this, and I'm going to get rid of this one as well. And I'm going to do a similar trick as to what I did before in the mines. But instead of going for, you know, this bit, I can do this. I cancelled it out too late there. I should have kept it to until I actually got to the amulet. So yeah, one of the other weird ways of killing an enemy is shooting a skeleton with a bow. Now, we're going to do that in any percent regardless, because it's just a lot faster to do that. That may be too far away. It was not. Cool. That's probably... yeah, that was late. These mages I'm just... yeah, that's not going to work. These mages I'm trying to kill with the bombs. That's the fastest way to get rid of them. But there we go. That's the first amulet piece down. Only one more to go, and then we can go for the big guy. So this is another little skip that we can do here. I actually need to get rid of some of these trees around here in any percent, or in 100%, but in any percent we can just pass through here. She'll make a comment about all of the dead trees, and we'll get moving real quick. That's one down, one to go. So we're gonna go back through town, because the ruins of Saratnak are actually on the other end of town. Before we go there, though, I'm going to buy a ton of potions real quick, because I'm actually going to need those. And I'm going to do a marathon safety strat here and actually heal up before going there. So yeah, these potions are basically just meant to make one of the fights coming up fairly soon a bit easier. They should already be enough. I might be buying a bit more after the ruins. So yeah. Taking that heal and save, and what that's going to do is, well, let's just say we're going to set up a glitch real quick. So yeah, when I talk to that guy, and I say yes, I can actually move, even though, because that text box doesn't properly close. If I use that to start a conversation with her, I can actually start walking with text boxes. Now this seems really useless, until you consider the fact that her text boxes including a heal and a save, both of which are fairly useful for this next dungeon. So we're going to enter a bit of a Diablo segment here. Now, unlike in Pokemon Crystal, we're not as sexist in this run. We're going to take the female character for this. And I'm going to try to get through to 2 of these chests before I'm going to need that heal. Wasn't planning to. So yeah, back in what was it, BSG 5, I think? BSG 4 or BSG 5, one of the two. I actually also ran this game, and during practice on the night before, I actually managed to find the soft lock in this game that we didn't even know existed. You can actually use this particular glitch. If you save at exactly the wrong pixel, you'll get locked into the wall, and you're basically soft locked. And there was nothing you can do because it overwrites your last save, so you're stuck with it. So yeah, we're gonna try to leave this safe screen open until as late as possible, where I'm gonna use it in an attempt to both save and immediately after die. And then reload that so that I'm at full health again for the final, or for the next boss. Actually, I might not even need to do that, depending on how the encounters work out here. Might not actually need to. That should be enough health, honestly. Should be able to do it with this. Okay, let's go. Time for a scary boss. So yeah, this is the Undead King. Let's hope we can get him first try. So the basic strat of this game is get myself stuck behind one of these pillars and then hope he doesn't kill me before I kill him. Before I kill it. This grants me practically immunity from his fireball attacks, but it doesn't grant me immunity from his regular attacks. So I may actually try to get that health drop that is right over there. Okay, these bats could come in real useful here. Thank you. Really good health drop, and that's another 60 health. We should be fine. This is always a bit of a scary fight because you're kind of low on health unless you took a death. But taking a death is slow, so you kind of don't want to do that either. I remember when first playing this game casually, I actually really struggled with this guy. There we go. But we're not out of the blue yet because we still have to actually leave this place. Which is why I decided to just kill those 2 things, get that remaining health, so that we can move to the exit safely. Taking a 3-second time loss, but, you know, if we would have died, we would have lost a lot more. So yeah, and that's the second part of the amulet. getting the remaining potions that I was talking about, because we might as well. And we'll move on to the next bit. So basically at this point there's only 2 fights left. I'm gonna take this real quick. We're gonna have to fight the this is Zephyros. He's kind of like he's kind of the final boss, but then also not really. So yeah, this is the guy we were supposed to fight, the supposedly final boss of the game. So yeah, we're gonna have to deal a good amount of damage to him, as well as try to keep our health high, which is actually surprisingly difficult. That's what those potions that we picked up were for. Ideally, I want to have the male character use the potions, because, you know, he deals, on average, less damage, so... So I'll have him use a potion on himself. Actually, I have to watch out with that menuing there. You can I was supposed to X Crystal. That's fine, though. Yeah, you can accidentally also use the potion on Zephyros himself. That has happened a few times to me. So, you know, you can really easily screw up this fight. It just slows you down. It doesn't lose a ton of time, but it just slows down. And it's, you know, you're trying to go fast and all that. This would actually be a really nice health if one of these hits would kill him. Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be. Okay, that's good. Okay, I need you to go into your next phase now. There we go. Next phase. Let's go. From here on, it's just mash until it's done. He does the Kamehameha wave. Obviously not inspired by any other games or stories or series or whatever. So yeah, and as we did that, he's gonna completely kill off Kairos. Now, we don't really have time for a sad cutscene here, because we are trying to make up time today, after all. So we're just gonna skip through it. Poor little guy. But the death of Kairos did awaken his power. Because he's apparently the son of the dragon, because, you know, every single RPG ever. And we're going to be able to summon Babamoot. $700 damage, kills the, more or less kills the boss, and it's time to move on. Okay, let's get ready for the final boss fight. So yeah, before we can actually progress to the final boss fight, we actually need to sit through a couple more cutscenes. We need to get the airship, which is actually, you know, that could be important. Once we've gotten the airship, we can move on and try to beat Zephyros for real this time. See, everybody thinks they're doomed and it's all over, and then, you know, we're here to save the day. We're gonna hit the airship real quick. Let's go. And with that, we're going to move on to the final boss. Now, the final boss consists of 3 phases, and I'm actually going to have to focus a little bit for this fight. Basically, in the first phase, we're going to try to get rid of his hands and arms. In the second phase, we're going to get rid of the armor. And in the third phase, we're actually fighting Zephyros himself. I should say that if we finish within 3.5 minutes, I don't think that's possible. But if we do, then I would PB. I'm actually on a pretty good pace here. It's not terrible. We'll see, though. I don't think that's going to happen. This fight takes a couple minutes. But yeah, this is Zephyros in, you know, the last form that we're going to have to fight. So I'm running around mostly in an attempt to manipulate the hands a little bit. And I got 1 hit off there. That's fine though. I'll take the damage. Okay, that's phase 1. Time for phase 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I may miss that. Figured. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, he went for 6. It's 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I need to actually be careful here because he's doing a lot of damage today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's getting a lot of 6s out, which he usually only goes for 5 blasts, but for some reason he's going for 6 on multiple occasions today. Okay, time for the final phase. Time ends as soon as I close the final text box after this last phase. So, be prepared. I need blue balls here. That's the only thing I can cast back to him. Oh, and I missed it. Damn it. Okay, that's on me. That's on me. I was too early on my head. It's 1. Come on, RNG. It's 2. 3. 1 more hit and he's done. Yeah, I figured that would miss. I was not in an angle that I could hit that. Okay, get ready on time. Time. That's a PB. So yeah, I had not run the game in 3 months.